Good afternoon, everyone. This is Monday, October 1st. The NHL season is set to begin on Wednesday night, October 3rd. I'm going to do a little bit of an Eastern Conference preview for everyone. Going to hold off on predictions for a couple of weeks, and I'll have those within the next week or two. Just want to see how teams start out for a couple of games and just see where guys are at. But going to go over every team in the Eastern Conference, and either today or tomorrow I'll have the Western Conference done as well. Let's start off in the Atlantic Division. We know what the Bruins have. I've already come with that. I'm going to have another couple of videos before Wednesday, but basically the Bruins are bringing back the same cast of characters, which was a really good season a year ago. This year, they got a fourth line that they're going to start out with of Noel Acciari, Joakim Nordstrom, and local product Chris Wagner, who's come over from Anaheim. I think you're going to see, to start the season out, Danton Heinen play on the second line with David Krejci and Jake DeBrusk. And the third line will be made up of Anders Bjork, David Backes, and Ryan Donato, to start things out anyways. Defensemen, Torrey Krug's going to miss the first game. Urho Vakinen, the Finnish defenseman they took in the first round 2 years ago, will get the call, I believe. Matt Grzelcyk is still coming back from an injury, so there's no need to rush him. Plus, you get to see what Vakinen can do. He can play up to 9 games and then be sent down and not lose that year of eligibility, which is key. Bruins have Yaroslav Halak as a backup goalie. That would help spell Rask, so they can give Rask more nights off because you don't want to wear him down like that's happened in the last couple of seasons. Last year, not so much because Khudobin played well, but the last couple of years, you don't want to wear him down. But let's look at some of the competition. Start with Toronto. Big improvement up front by adding John Tavares. Huge pickup, biggest pickup of the offseason for any team in the NHL. Either him or Carlson going to San Jose are probably the top two. And that just makes that team a little bit deeper up front. I do question their defense, though, which I think a lot of people are gonna. Right now, it looks like they're going to start out with Tavares playing with Hyman and Mitch Marner on the first line. You move Matthews down to the second line where he had a little bit of success in the playoffs with Patrick Marleau and Tyler Ennis. And you still have a good player in Nazem Kadri that's a top 6 forward playing on that third line with Connor Brown and Livo. Defensive-wise, Morgan Rielly, Ron Hainsey, Jake Gardner, and Zaitsev will probably be the top 4. And you got Freddie Anderson in the net. They're weak on the back end, guys, but this team is explosive. They can score goals at will up front. Adding Tavares to an already deep team, they run 3 centers deep on you with Kadri being the third line center. That's pretty scary. Obviously, for the power play purposes, they're going to be solid as well because you're going to be able to slot guys in different spots. You can still have Marleau as that big wing digging the puck out of the corners with Matthews and Tavares big-time goal scorers up front. So I think Toronto is definitely going to be there, and it's going to be a fight between Toronto, Tampa, and the Bruins for that top seed in the Atlantic Division. Let's move on to Tampa. They bring back pretty much the same cast of characters. Steven Stamkos will center JT Miller and Nikita Kucherov, which is probably the second best line in hockey, right behind our big three of Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak. Braden Point and Yanni Gourde will play on the second line with Ondrej Palat, which I think Point and Gourde had monster seasons a year ago. They're hoping that they can follow that up and take the next step in their development, which would be huge for Tampa's success as far as up front. And Anthony Cirelli will center Alex Killorn and Ryan Callahan on that third line. Very deep veteran third line. Killorn and Callahan have been in big games, playoff games. They've done it all. So I think you got to keep an eye on that as far as that development goes for Cirelli playing with those two big powerhouses down there. Tampa has the best defensive unit in hockey. I think that's pretty forward. Victor Hedman and Ryan McDonough are the top two. Would be the top pairing for them. Two solid players. You don't even have to play them both together because they're both solid. You got Anton Stromlin, Dan Girardi backing them up, and Braden Coburn and Mikhail Sergachev. Two really good. Sergachev's a great young defenseman with size. He's what I hope Brandon Carlo turns in to be in the next couple of years. And Braden Coburn, veteran player, been in the league for a long time. They go 6 deep on you defensively. Very good team. Vasilevsky's a question in the net. If he has another big year, I think you're going to see Tampa probably take that division and have a really good chance at coming out of the East. Moving on to Florida, a team that I think's gotten a little bit better. Barkov, Dadonov, and Bjugstad's a solid first line. Not the best, but they got offensive ability. Barkov had a great year last season. Vincent Trocheck, Jonathan Huberdeau, and Mike Hoffman, a big sniper from Ottawa, comes over in a trade. He got traded to San Jose. He had some problems with his wife, with tweets and domestic violence. They shipped him to Florida. Florida's going to keep him. Hoffman's a goal scorer, guys. Big-time sniper on that second line for them. Derek McKenzie, Frank Petrano, and Colton Sevior will round out their third line. And they have some veterans, Keith Yandel and Tim Matheson, Aaron Ekblad, and they have a young kid named last name Syke that will round out the defense. I'm kind of weak on D. Ekblad's a superstar in the making. He's just like our version of Charlie McAvoy for them, as Ekblad has been great even when he came in the league at 18 years old. Roberto Longo in the net, you know, veteran goalie, has been there before, can get it done, and can get hot at times. So I think Florida's right on the outside looking at those three teams. They could get in the mix depending upon how their season goes with health and whatnot. Now you have some teams that are going to be in a little bit of a rebuild. Moving on to Detroit, Dylan Larkin, Todd Bertuzzi, and Mantha will be the first line. Larkin's an explosive player, one of the fastest players in the NHL. Bertuzzi's a veteran, can give Larkin what he needs on the wing. Franz Nielsen, Darren Helm, and Gustav Nyquist will be the second line, and Anthony Athanasiou, Thomas Vanek, and Justin Abdelkader round out the third line. So they have some names and veterans mixed in with some young guys. I still think they're a ways away. Last year they just weren't able to play consistent hockey enough to get that playoff spot. They're going to be on the outside looking in this year. Defensively, somewhat weak. Danny DeKeyser and Eriksson will be the top pairing with a young kid of Jensen and Trebedale playing as the second pairing. They also have Nicholas Cromwell, who will be back at some time as he's out injured right now. Not sure when his return date will be. Jimmy Howard will be the goalie. I think this year Howard needs to show that he can be healthy, because if this team has any shot at making the playoffs, they need Jimmy Howard to be healthy. Montreal be next on the list. Much different Montreal team than we're used to. They have a young kid, Daniel, Thomas Tatar, and Brendan Gallagher playing on that first line. They also have another young center in Kotkaniemi playing with Max Domi, and Armia, excuse me. Matthew Pekka, Paul Byron, and Jonathan Drouin will be the third line. Jeff Petrie, Carl Eisner, Riley, and Meat, their top four defensemen. I don't know, guys. Montreal's a ways away. They don't have Max Pacioretty anymore. Carey Price is in the net. One of the best goalies in the league, but doesn't look like he has much help. This team cannot afford any injuries if they're going to do anything. Buffalo is up and coming. Out of these four teams I'm going to talk about, Buffalo is in the best shape starting the season out. Jack Eichel will center. Jeff Skinner and Sam Reinhart, really good first line, explosive. Patrick Berglund comes over from St. Louis to play with Connor Sherry and a young kid of Thompson. Evan Rodriguez, BU product, will be on the third line with Vladimir Sapaka and Kyle Okposo to start it out. Defensively, they're somewhat weak, but they do have Rasmus Dahlin, the 18-year-old phenom, who everybody's been dying to get their hands on, and Buffalo was lucky enough to win the lottery this year to pick him up. Carter Hutton will be in the net. You have Dahlin with Ristolainen, Marco Scandella, and Jake McCabe will be the defensive pairings, the top two. Carter Hutton will be the starter coming over from Nashville, as he was a backup a year ago. Hopefully he can give them what they need in between the pipes. Buffalo is a scary team. Any given night they can beat you because of their offensive ability up front. Ottawa, probably the worst team in this division. Matt Duchene, Zingle, and Bobby Ryan will be the top line. Zach Smith, Brady Tkachuk, a kid that played on the USA team a year ago. Junior team, very explosive. Going to look forward to his rookie season. Playing with Stone as well. Chris Tierney, Michael Bodker, and Magnus Pajavi will be the third line. And you have young defensemen, Cody Ceci, Weidman, Borowicki, and Shabbat to pair up as the defensive pairings to go along with Craig Anderson in between the net. Gonna have to see what happens. Ottawa's a ways away, guys. They're in a rebuild. They get rid of Erik Karlsson. Enough said there. You give away your best player, you're not expecting to win this season. Going into the Metro Division, Washington's the front runner as they return pretty much everyone from a year ago. Evgeny Kuznetsov, Alex Ovechkin, and Tom Wilson will be the top line. Nicholas Backstrom, Vrana, and Oshie, line two. Lars Eller, Burakovsky, Brett Conley, Devontae Smith-Pelly, Chandler Stevenson, some type of formation there in line three. Very solid three lines. They can even roll four on you if they have to. With Nick Dowd as another guy that will be filled in. Dmitry Orlov, Matt Niskanen, Brooks Orpik, Carlson, Kempney, and Juice are the defensemen. Solid guys. Kempney and Juice got a little bit of their feet wet a year ago. And Braden Holtby in between the pipes, he was the key to their run last year. And if he plays well again, this team is going to be there when it's all said and done. Pittsburgh didn't win the cup last year, but they're still solid with Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin as their top two centers. Crosby will play with Jake Wenzel and Patrick Hornquist. Malkin with Kessel and Hagelin. Derek Brassard will be the third-line center with Matt Cullen and Brian Rust. Riley Sheehan, Derek Grant, and Daniel Sprong will probably be somewhat of the makeup of the fourth line. Another good team, deep, just like the Bruins, can roll four on you. Chris Letang, Jack Johnson comes over, Brian Dumoulin, rookie Ricola, Oli Mata, and Oleksiak will be thrown around in some type of defensive pairings. Very deep team, guys. One of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, if you ask me, on paper. Matt Murray's between the pipes. He's already shown he can win the cup. So they're solid every which way. And you will know that Pittsburgh will pick up something if they need to, injury-wise, or to make their team better at the deadline. They're not afraid to do that. Jim Rutherford is not afraid to make moves, believe me. Philadelphia comes in with the top line of Sean Couturier, Claude Giroux, and Travis Konechny. They were explosive a year ago. It's really good to see Couturier, Voracek, and Giroux all spread out because it helps Philadelphia's scoring top to bottom. They are kind of weak on defense with three rookies pretty much playing. Nolan Patrick, James Van Riemsdyk, and Jacob Voracek will be the second line. Yuri Laterra has some domestic violence issues. Not sure when he's going to be able to play. Wayne Simmons, Thomas Raffel, and Scott Lawton will be the third line. Shane Gottespiel, one of the better offensive defensemen in the Eastern Conference, is the top defenseman with the rookie Sanheim. Provorov and Foligno, two young guys, and Radko Gudas, a basic goon, physical type defenseman, will round out the D. Brian Elliott in between the pipes, not sure if he's going to give them what they need. Elliott's a hot and cold type goalie. A lot like Anton Khudobin. When he's going good, he's going good. When he's not, he's not. When he's just starting goalie, I question that. New Jersey made the playoffs a year ago. They come in with Nico Hersler, Taylor Hall, the MVP of a year ago, and Kyle Palmieri. Really good top line. Zaka, Marcus Johansson, and the rookie by the name of Bratt will be the second line. Travis Zajac, Miles Wood, Drew Stafford. You'll have Brendan Coleman and Brian Boyle mixed in to the offensive attack. Andy Green, Will Butcher, Vatanen and Severson will be their top four defensemen, with Ben Lovejoy and Steven Santini, a BC product, rounding out their D. Goalie right now, Keith Kincaid's set to be the starter. Corey Schneider is hurt. Not sure when he comes back. Eddie Lack will be the backup. New Jersey's a kind of a funny team. They could go either way. They cannot afford any injuries because if they get them, they're going to be in trouble. The Islanders are in a rebuild. They did add the coach, Barry Trotz. They lost Jonathan Tavares. Matthew Basil, the rookie of the year a year ago, will be the first-line center with Josh Bailey and Beauvillier, a young kid. Brock Nelson, Anders Lee, Jordan Eberle will be the second line. Casey Cizikas, Matt Martin, and Cal Clutterbuck will round out that third line with Leo Komarov, Valtteri Filppula playing as fourth line, third line type players if you get in the mix. Thomas Kornacki and Anthony Ladd are both out to begin the season. Their defensemen will be Pelich and Hickey as the top pairing, Pulak and Leddy second pairing, Boychuk and Lucas Spiza as the third pairing. Decently spread out on defense. You got Boychuk, Pelich, you got Boychuk, Hickey, and Leddy, who have all pretty much veterans, rounding out their three pairings. Thomas Greiss and Robin Lerner are two backup goalies. One of them will end up being the starter. Not sure how good the Islanders do. They might be the worst team in this division on paper. The Rangers come in with Henrik Lundqvist in between the pipes. They're in a rebuild as well. They got rid of Ryan McDonough and JT Miller a year ago, and they're trying to figure it out. Against Zibanejad, Chris Kreider and Matt Zuccarello will be the top line. Decent top line. You know, probably slots in with David Krejci line if you're looking at it from a Bruins perspective. Vladimir Nemesnikov, Ryan Spooner, and Bunev. Jesus, I can't even say his name. Young kid of Bunevich. Will be on the second line. Kevin Hayes, Jimmy Vesey, Harvard kid, and Jesper Fast will be the third line. You'll have Cody McLeod in the mix somewhere as well. Their defensive pairings are Skite, Marcus Stahl, Adam McQuaid, Kevin Shattenkirk. Kind of weak on the back end. We'll see how that goes for the Rangers. I don't think that you can expect too much from them. Carolina lost Jeff Skinner. They do have Jordan Stahl, Sebastian Aho, and Tero Teravainen as their top line. DiGiuseppe, Fogle, and Justin Williams, a veteran winger, will be on the second line. Jamie McGinn, Martin Nook comes over from Florida, and Zykov, another young guy. They're very young. Defensively, Justin Falk, Calvin DeHaan, Jacob Slavin, and Dougie Hamilton, 4 solid defensemen at the NHL level. Goaltending is a question mark. Scott Darling and Peter Mrazek, one of them will, just like the Islanders, one of them will end up taking the job over. Not really sure who it will be. Last team in the Eastern Conference, Columbus. They're not the worst team in this division by any stretch. They're just the team I did last. Sergei Bobrovsky, one of the better goalies in the NHL the last 3 seasons. He'll be between the pipes. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Artemi Panarin, and Cam Atkins is the first line. Very solid up there. Wenberg, Nick Foligno, and Bjorkstrand, another young kid that they got in the draft, will be the second line. Brandon Dubinsky, Boone Jenner, Anthony Duclair on the third line. Riley Nash, Sedlak, Sonny Milano will also round out their forwards in the back end as well, as they picked up Riley Nash from the Bruins. As far as that goes, we'll see where he slots in. I'm sure he will be on the ice on a regular basis, though. Defensively, Zach Werenski, very good player, Michigan product, will be paired up with a rookie, Nudavara. Clendening comes over from Detroit, decent pickup in the back end. David Savard, Gabriel Carlson will be their second pairing. Not sure how good that defensive pairing is with Seth Jones out to start the season. He's their best defenseman, and they need him to come back sooner than later if they want to hang in this thing. They are coached by John Tortorella, so you know their team's going to bring it every night. That's the Eastern Conference right now. Like I said, it's a 6-team race, I would say, between Washington, Pittsburgh, and then you can take Philadelphia, Columbus, and New Jersey. One of those teams will separate themselves from the other in the Metro, fighting for that top seed. The Bruins, the Leafs, and Tampa will fight it out for the Atlantic Division. I'll be back with the Western Conference preview, and either later on today or tomorrow. Have a good day.